people think, oh, surrender, right? Oh, it's just like woo woo. It's just like, oh, just go with the flow. And the flow feels like I don't feel like exercising today. And I'm just going to surrender to staying in my bed for the next 3 years and getting fat. That's not surrender. Oh, I just feel like going with the flow. Oh, so you're talking about surrender. Okay. You know what? I'm married in a monogamous relationship, committed, but I just feel like going with the flow because I'm attracted to this other woman. And I'm going to just go with that and indulge that. And that's just going with the flow. That's not going with the flow. That is just following your limited, fleeting biological urge. Oh, I'm just going to go with the flow. I need to write my book, but I'm not going to write it because I just want to go for a hike because I just feel like it. And you never get the book done, right? And so what we often don't realize is that true surrender is not just a passive thing. True surrender is an active thing.
Welcome to Everlutionary, a podcast about how we can heal and transform with the world. Every episode of my show, we explore conversations around philosophy, science, mysticism, social justice, how we can be change catalysts and activators and mobilize each other to create a world free of violence. I'm your host, Hawah Kasat. Peace, peace, peace. Kute Blackson, welcome to the Everlutionary podcast. It is an honor to have you out here. How are you doing today?
It's great to be here. Doing well.
It's nice to have you. Where are you zooming in from today?
I'm zooming in from Houston, Texas.
What's been on your heart lately? How have you been spending your days? What's been keeping you inspired in your life?
The same thing that's kept me inspired for my whole life, which is inspiring, elevating consciousness, transforming lives. So however I can do that, whether it's through events, seminars, writing, I'm inspired by the moment. I'm inspired by life. Everything inspires me.
Yeah, I mean, not many people end up on your path. And I think a lot of our listeners from around the world would probably love to hear what got you interested in inspiring lives and doing this work of teaching and creating spaces for transformation for people.
I would say, look, I grew up in a certain environment that at least I thought was very normal. I didn't realize that how I grew up wasn't that normal. Like my first memories as a young boy was seeing a crippled woman crawling on the floor. She picks up the gravel, the sand that this man walks on, wipes it on her face and stands up. And so week after week, I grew up seeing blind people see and deaf people hear and people stand up out of wheelchairs. And I grew up in the realm of miracles. And I just thought this was everybody's reality until I realized not everybody experienced this as a kid. When I started to talk to my friends about, hey, I saw someone stand up out of a wheelchair, and they were like, you're crazy. And so I grew up with this sense of possibility. I would see this man look at a person in a wheelchair, put his hands on them and say, stand up. Or somebody would come with crutches to this man and he would say, hey, why do you have these crutches? Throw them away. And they would say, but I haven't walked in 10 years. He would say, do you believe? And they would say, yes. And boom, miracles would happen. This man was my father. At the time, he built 300 churches in Ghana, West Africa, a huge church in London. And so he was considered a miracle man of Africa. So I grew up with this sort of person as a father. And when I was age 8, I started speaking in my father's churches. When I was 14, I was ordained as a minister. When I was 18, I left everything and retired, you could say, from the ministry at the ripe old age of 18, because I felt like something different, something deeper, something was calling me in a different direction. But when I was age 8, I began to become very obsessed with trying to understand life and the nature of life and existence and why we're here and where we're going. And what's the purpose of this whole thing? Is it just to wake up and make money and have babies, go on vacation, and then die? Or is there more? Is there more to the purpose of life than that? And so at a very, very young age, I started reading books. I read my first self-help book at the age 8. Until 18, probably read 600-700 books for personal growth, just trying to understand life and the nature of reality. And so when I was 14, my father announces to the congregation, my son is taking over my ministry. And everybody was excited but me, and I was going to be the successor to my father's organization. But you know that feeling in your gut when you know that something is not aligned, that feeling in your gut when you know that something is not right, that feeling in your gut when you know that something is not your truth. But I think at 14, I was too afraid to speak my truth. I was too afraid to express my voice because my fear was, if I really expressed how I felt, if I really shared my truth, if I was really honest, then I would be outcast. I'd lose my father's love. Then what? And so I said nothing. And so from 14 to 18, I went through a tremendous inner turmoil in terms of just trying to understand, a tremendous inner turmoil in terms of trying to make myself be something that I wasn't and fit a certain box. And I went through tremendous depression, tremendous sadness, and tremendous internal conflict because I wanted my father's approval, like most boys, but my father was iconic. And so when I was 18, when I was 17 and a half, I had to make some decision. Do I go to university? I chose not to. My soul was calling me to a different path. And that was, I wanted to go into this field of personal growth and personal development because as a kid, I began to read all of these books. We're talking Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Marianne Williamson, Dan Millman, Louise Hay, Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer. Like these folks were my heroes as a 12-year-old, as an 11-year-old. And I thought, wow, there's a whole other way to inspire people and impact people from a different dimension of consciousness than just the church or some kind of organized religion, a spiritual way and seminars. And so that began my journey and became my calling. And sometimes when your soul guides you and when your soul calls you, it will often not make sense to your mind. It will often not make sense to your logic. But I really believe that when you follow your soul and you follow your knowing and you don't compromise the truth that is in your heart, you will always end up in the right place at the right time with the right people doing the right thing. And so I had to go through this internal process of surrendering and letting go and the courage to follow my path. And that's when I had to have a conversation with my father and renounced everything. And long story short, I ended up winning a green card in the green card lottery that enabled me to come to the US with 2 suitcases, $800 in my pocket. And I just showed up here and just began my dream, just began following the vision. And it was hard. It was challenging, but I felt free. I felt so deeply, profoundly free because even though I knew no one, landed in LA and I knew zero, like the first person I met was the taxi driver. This was pre-internet, right? And so I met the taxi driver. I says, take me somewhere safe and cheap where I can stay for a few weeks. I ended up in Venice Beach and it was such a culture shock. Yet something kept me going and kept me moving because I felt like I was on the right path, even though it was challenging and difficult.
What year was that, Kute?
I forget, late 90s.
Late 90s, when you just put everything in a suitcase, $800 in your pocket, flew from Ghana, green card in hand.
No, I grew up in London.
So you flew here from London?
Flew here from London and just following a dream, literally in the unknown, just had zero clue. I think back now and I think, wow, was I crazy? Like 18, like I look at some 18-year-old kids today and I think to myself, oh my God, I was that age, like that. And yet something bigger than myself was pulling me and pushing me. And I couldn't help it. I couldn't control it. It was bigger than me, And even though I was scared and I was terrified, it was bigger than me. And if anything, I wasn't special. I just listened to and surrendered to that pull, that nudging that was bigger than me. Many times we are all being guided, but not all of us listen. We are all being guided, but often we resist. We are all being guided, but often the guidance that we get, the intuitive guidance that we get doesn't often make sense to your logical mind, doesn't make sense to your ego. And so what often happens is we end up trying to analyze and intellectualize, and we try to make sense of the inner guidance that we're given. And in trying to make sense of that inner guidance that we're given, what ends up happening is we talk ourselves out of our dreams and our visions and negotiate with our soul and the universe, and we end up living mediocre lives or a life that is far less than what we deep down know in our hearts we are capable of. And that is a pain that we experience as human beings. And so I just was naive enough and crazy enough to listen, and I didn't really question. And it was difficult, but I knew I was on the right path. And I went and found many of the mentors and teachers as an 18-year-old kid that I read about, went to the seminars, sat with some of them, harassed some of them, learned from some of them. And then as the years went on, I felt something deeper calling me. I got tired. How it all started was I got tired of just reading the books. I got tired of just going to another seminar. I got tired of listening to someone else's truth about my life. And I thought, it's great for Deepak, it's great for Marianne Williamson, it's great for Tony Rowe, it's great for Gandhi, but I'm not them. And like, what's my truth? What is my truth inside? And so that took me through a deep process of unraveling. And I ended up sitting in a room for 6 months, just basically deconstructing myself, which then took me to, in my very early 20s, walking the Camino in northern Spain. I walked the Camino in northern Spain and fell apart some more and ended up in India. And it was really my time in India that broke me open to another another level of awakening, another level of understanding my life and who I am and what my purpose was. And that was very deep and profound and transformative. And it was really out of that I was inspired to come back to America, and I wanted to inspire people. And, this was before coaching was really popular, before it was like a thing about 20 years ago. I wanted everyone to experience the level of peace that I experienced. In that moment, I had no money, no house, no apartment, no girlfriend, no nothing, but I felt free. It was the kind of freedom that was not dependent on any external circumstance, the kind of freedom that was not dependent on anything outside. And that was so profound and liberating that people started coming up to me and saying, hey, what's your deal? Yeah, I know you went to India, but like, you seem so free. What happened? Are you in love? What's going on? And I would start talking to people, and that began a conversations. And then slowly I realized, well, just talking to people is not enough. Information is not transformation. And I kind of downloaded a way of working with people that became sort of my signature process and processes that I've expanded into one-on-one at the time, and then small groups, larger groups, and on and on. And so that was a bit of my journey.
Matt, your journey is incredible to hear about. And you mentioned something very early. You talked about the purpose of life, not knowing and needing to find out what the purpose of life is. On your path through your travels to India, being someone with clearly a lot of family inspiration as well, it sounds like, what would you say is the purpose of life?
The purpose of life is life. The purpose of life is this moment. The purpose of life is here right now, ultimately. But I believe that we are souls. And as souls, we incarnate into this human experience in order to learn, in order to grow, in order to evolve. Life is like a university for your soul's evolution. Life is like a school. Everyone is your teacher and everything is your curriculum. But often we go through life on a very one-dimensional level. We focus on the events and experiences and relationships, and did it happen and did it not happen, and determine success and failure based on the attainment of a goal. But that is just to see life on the very surface level, the goal line. But I think life, the true life, exists on the deeper dimension. And when you realize that you are a soul, not just a one-dimensional human being or ego, that you're actually a soul and you're evolving, then everything you go through in life is really an evolutionary process. And so I really feel that the purpose of life is to grow and evolve and learn the lessons so that you can become who you truly are and realize your true nature as a infinite divine being beyond this limited ego structure. And I think that's the purpose, to be able to wake up out of the dream of separation and the dream of limitation, to realize you are infinite, to realize your infinite nature. And so we incarnate into this 3D world, a 3D world that is the realm of duality. This is the realm of duality and limitation. You can't just jump over a building and fly necessarily. You can't just eat 7,000 donuts and be healthy. Like, there's certain limitations in this 3D world, right?
Yeah.
And laws. And I think when you realize that we don't incarnate in order to be limited, we incarnate in order to learn how to become masters inside of limitation and access our own true inner freedom, then you start seeing life as a game, life as a mirror, life as a play of possibilities. And I think we incarnate to learn how to realize who we really are and how to find the freedom inside of this game of limitation. But the freedom is not out here. The freedom is inside. And I think that's part of the cosmic game we're playing, to awaken, to the fact that we are one, and we forget that we're one. The part of the game of life is awakening to the deeper truth of the oneness of all things. And I think that's what life is about, growth, evolution, realization, self-realization through the world, through experiences.
Yeah, your whole process that you described at the beginning of our conversation was a process of surrendering, deep surrendering, basically putting your hands up and saying, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going because my spirit is calling me to do this. How does someone bring themselves to the point where they can let go and actually surrender? Because I feel like surrender is a word that perhaps we hear a lot. However, to put surrender into practice, it's very different than just intellectualizing what it means to surrender.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have many misconceptions of what the word surrender means, and that creates the problem in the understanding. If I surrender, it means giving up. If I surrender, waving the white flag. If I surrender, I won't manifest my goals, dreams, and desires. If I surrender, I'm going to be a doormat. I'm going to be left behind. If I surrender, right? So we have all of these fears about what surrender means and what surrender is and what surrender isn't. And so that doesn't inspire us to surrender. Like, if I surrender, I'm going to get less in life. But we don't realize that truly, if you understand the real essence of surrender, what if you didn't get less in life, but what if you actually got more? More than you could have imagined, more than you could have envisioned, more than you could have. What if you got more? Maybe not what you expected. Maybe it was different, but what if it was better? Because if we really look at the best things in our lives that happen, the best things, meeting your soulmate, meeting that person, going, like, the best things we didn't plan. Well, I'm going to meet my soulmate at 7 p.m. in a coffee shop on a Thursday. Maybe, but most of it just happened in the process of following, in the process of listening, in the process of being in action. And so if that's the case, we often only surrender or let go when we don't have any other choice, when our back is up against the wall, when all hell is breaking loose. Okay, I surrender. And then, okay, something opens. So what if we actually didn't wait until life forced us? What if we actually lived that way from the beginning? And so what I'm actually saying is, in surrendering, what if it turned out to be better than you can imagine, beyond your conscious ego's capacity to even imagine what is possible? If you look at the really great ones, a Jesus, a Buddha, a Gandhi, a Mother Teresa, a Martin Luther King, I mean, just the list goes on. Name anybody. At some point, even folks we don't like, right? At some point in their own way, they surrendered themselves to something deeper that they felt. They surrendered themselves to a deeper truth beyond themselves. And in that surrender, they were able to transcend their own limited human ego's sense of separation. And they tapped into the infinite possibilities of life, that deeper dimension of the universe. And that's when life, God, all that is, was able to manifest through them and use them in ways that was beyond their own human capacity. That's, I think, the possibility of surrender. So surrender is a letting go of control. Surrender, I would say, is a letting go of the illusion that we are even in control in the first place. Surrender is a letting go of who we think we should be and what we think we should be and how we think we should be doing things, so that we can take the limitations off of life and open to life. And are we really open to life? We say we are, but not this and not this and not this and not, but we're not really open. We're actually closed. Because when we live life based on the ego, we're limiting life in so many ways. We don't even realize how many limits we're putting on life. We think we're open, but we're not. It's got to happen this way, and my soulmate's got to manifest this way, and this has got to be that way, and that's got to be that way, and that's got to be that way. It's like, we think we know how things are going to happen, but the truth is we don't. And so the old paradigm of living is really the ego-based model for creating and living life. You got to know what you want, which is cool. I'm not saying don't, but you got to know what you want. And then you just make it happen and force, which the truth is, you might manifest what you think you wanted. I mean, how many of us, you really thought you wanted something? You really thought you wanted that relationship. You really thought you wanted that career. You really thought you wanted to win an Oscar. You thought you wanted it. And maybe you manifested it only to achieve it and then realize, wait a second, is this all? Is this it? What I thought I wanted was not what I really wanted. It was just what I thought I wanted based on who I thought I was. Oh, this is not what I really wanted, because often our goals are directed by unmet needs. Our goals are directed by the unmet needs of our ego, and our goals are sometimes reactions of, dad didn't love me, I wasn't enough, I wasn't lovable, I got bullied. And so if I can just achieve that thing, then I'm going to prove to everyone that I'm okay and get out of my pain. And then it doesn't really fulfill us. So I think for me, the real question is not just, well, what do I want? The question becomes, what is it that life is seeking to express through me? What is it that the universe is seeking to manifest through me? And if we can open ourselves to that deeper dimension, that deeper possibility, then we expand and we take the limitations of life. Then we can catch the deeper vision, and then we can align ourselves with that deeper vision and then move into action from that place. And so surrender doesn't mean you don't go into action. It means you feel what is most true. You feel what is most authentic, and then you align your ego, your will, your intention, your goal setting, your money, your resources, your marketing with what is true. And you give 100% without attachment. You go in that direction, giving 100% of your effort without attachment. Total involvement, low attachment. Then you are still open and available to life showing you, life guiding you. And so part of surrender is the willingness to allow life to show you, the willingness to allow life to guide you. And I think that's where the magic happens. We all want the magic. If you tell someone, do you want more magic? Oh, yeah. But none of us want to surrender. And so I would ask everyone, like, the degree of magic you experience in your life is in direct proportion to the degree of your surrender. And so you want more magic, surrender more. So where would you need to let go? Because the next level of your life requires the next level of you. And the next level of you requires that you let go of who you've been. And most of us, we want to manifest the next level, but we want to hold on to what was, what wasn't, and we want to hold on to who we were, not realizing that holding on to what is no longer working simply blocks your blessing. And so what do you need to let go of is what I would ask you as you're listening to this conversation. What do you need to let go of? Who do you need to let go of within yourself? Who do you need to let go of in your life? What are you doing that is working, but doing more of it only inhibits the next level of your growth? When we hold on to what is not working, we block our blessing. It's not God. It's not the devil. It's not a curse. We're just holding on and constipating the flow of life, the flow of miracles. And so I think letting go is one of the most powerful things that we can do, because letting go makes the room, makes more space for the magic and the possibilities to emerge.
Yeah, we are constipating the flow of energy from really expanding through us because we're holding on so tight. We're grasping. And you said something earlier about attachment and how we need to put 100% of all of our energy into the thing that we are most passionate and excited about, but doing it without attachment. What do you mean by that for our listeners that are not as familiar with attachment?
Yeah, some people think, oh, surrender, right? Oh, it's just like woo woo. It's just like, oh, just go with the flow. And the flow feels like, I don't feel like exercising today. And I'm just going to surrender to staying in my bed for the next 3 years and getting fat. That's not surrender. Oh, I just feel like going with the flow. Oh, so you're talking about surrender. Okay. You know what? I'm married in a monogamous relationship, committed, but I just feel like going with the flow because I'm attracted to this other woman, and I'm going to just go with that and indulge that. That's just going with the flow. That's not going with the flow. That is just following your limited, fleeting biological urge. Oh, I'm just going to go with the flow. I need to write my book, but I'm not going to write it because I just want to go for a hike because I just feel like it, and you never get the book done, right? And so what we often don't realize is that true surrender is not just a passive thing. True surrender is an active thing. To understand real surrender is to not indulge laziness. Oh, I just feel like going with the flow, so I'm going to smoke weed all month. Oh, that is just indulging your addiction. That is not true surrender. I'm just going to surrender. No, that is laziness, right? That is not being responsible. That is not aligning with your deeper power. And so true surrender is when you feel what is most true. You feel what it is that you're most committed to. What is it that I'm truly, deeply, deeply committed to? It is not to follow the fleeting mood or urge or impulse in the moment. That is not surrender. That's easy to do. True surrender says, you know what? I don't feel like exercising right now, but my body is a temple. And I know that when I do consistently, I have more energy. And when I have more energy, I can give more to the world. And even though I don't feel like it, I'm not in a mood, I have a commitment to, so I'm going to get my ass out of bed and I'm going to exercise. I don't feel like writing my book right now. I'm not in the mood. I don't want to. But when I feel the deeper commitment of the lives I want to touch, I'm going to sit myself down every day for the next 6 months for a couple of hours and write this thing. That is surrender. You know, true surrender is like, wow, I'm married, but I'm really attracted to this woman and I'm kind of going in a certain direction and I'm going to exercise some discipline and a deeper commitment to my integrity and to my spouse. And I'm not just going to fall down a cliff and cheat on my wife. That is deeper surrender. And so surrender is a deeper commitment, a deeper willingness to follow your deeper truth. And that's really what I mean. And so in terms of the specifics of what you talk about, when you feel your deeper truth, like maybe life is calling you to do that thing or go in that direction, when you align with that, go, give 100%. Don't just sit there and I'm waiting for the inspiration. The inspiration may never come like that. The inspiration will often come when you go into motion. And so when you're in motion, when you catch a vision of this is what is most true, give 100%. But don't be attached. Don't hold on to the outcome. Because many times the outcome that you think is the outcome is not always the outcome. And when you get attached to the outcome, that's when you start trying to control the process. Instead, you give 100% to your goal, your vision, but don't attach to the outcome. If anything, you are attached to the process, to the learning, to the growth, because goals are evolutionary. It will take you on a journey of becoming more, a journey of learning more, a journey of evolving more. And so that goal will take you on a journey of becoming. And as a result, it's really about who you become in the process and the pursuit of the goal. And perhaps the goal is not the goal. It just needed to take you on the journey so that you could learn the lesson to become the person that was capable of fulfilling the dream and the vision. But if you didn't follow through and give 100%, you would never have gone on the journey. You would never have learned the lesson. You would never have become the person. And then you miss out. And many times, because we don't give 100% and we don't go for it, we don't fully go on the journey. And when we don't fully go on the journey, we don't become the person. And as a result, we don't become the person. We're actually not ready to manifest the next thing because we never took the journey. We never committed fully and learned the lesson. There's 3 things that I have found stop people from manifesting their goals and visions. Number 1, the goal that you're trying to manifest is not the real goal. The goal that you're trying to manifest is not in alignment with your soul's highest integrity and intention. The goal that you're trying to manifest is maybe what you think you should be doing, what your parents want you to do. Maybe you're a doctor because society expects it from you. But yeah, it's good, but it's not like aligned. Or maybe that thing you're trying to manifest, that business or being an actor, being a musician, is not really what you're born to do or in the way that you think. And so sometimes things don't manifest because it's not your soul's highest intention. What we tend to do is we try to force things to be something that they're not. Forcing something to be something that is not will not make it so. You can't just try to make an orange into an apple, a square into a circle. That is not to be, you might fit it into a certain shape. And many of us, we're trying to fit ourselves to be something that we're not, but it will never make you happy. It will never bring you peace or fulfillment inside, internal freedom. And so I think when things aren't flowing, even though you're pushing, that's an opportunity to step back and reevaluate inside what's true, what's real. Is there something more authentic? Is there something deeper for me? Is there something more real for me? And then go back into action from a place of realignment. Number 2, sometimes things don't manifest because it's not time yet. Just the bottom line. It's just not the timing. There's winter, there's spring, there's summer, there's autumn. Many of us, we want to swim at the beach in the winter when it's snowing, And when it's summer, we want to go skiing. So we have to learn how to understand the rhythms and cycles of life and nature and work in harmony with the rhythms and cycles and life of nature. Sometimes it's the time to be still and rest. But then we're running around like headless chickens, busy, 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 because we're afraid of like, oh, nothing will get done. Then when it's time to act, we're so exhausted because when we should have been resting, we were running around just busying ourselves. So when it's time to act, we're too tired and we can't act. So when we understand the timing of things, sometimes it's not the right season or the right timing. Third reason things don't manifest, I have found, is if life is a school and we are souls and we are here to learn, grow, and evolve, when we don't learn the lesson where we are with who we're with, then we keep ourselves stuck. And when we learn the lesson where we are with who we're with, this is the key to unlock the lock to the next level of manifestation, the next level of our life. So if you're going through something, I would ask and invite you to not just try to force things, but to step back and say, why did I attract the situation? Why did I manifest this experience? What is this experience trying to teach me? What is it that I'm willing to learn that I keep attracting this experience, right? What am I resisting in this situation? Because when you learn the lesson where you are with who you're with, it unlocks the next level to your life. And so, yeah, I would say those are some deeper dimensions of surrender too.
Those are the three ways that we prevent ourselves from manifesting. You mentioned earlier goals are evolutionary, and my podcast is called Everlutionary, where we look at the space where we're ever evolving, ever growing, ever changing. And part of us manifesting and realizing our true potential is finding that space where revolution and evolution come together and merge. When you say goals are evolutionary, what does that mean to you? What does it mean that a goal is evolutionary?
A true goal will force you to expand. A true goal will challenge you beyond your current capacity. A true goal, you will not know how to manifest it. That's how you know it's a real goal. That's how you know it's evolutionary, because you cannot remain and be the same person and manifest that goal. If you can remain the same person and manifest that goal, it's not a real goal. It's an ego goal. It's not a true goal, because a true goal will come to you beyond your mind and you might go, I don't know how to do this. Now, some people go, I don't know how to do this, and they get afraid and they stop and they don't take action. But I don't know how to do this is the sign that you're going in the right direction. You shouldn't know how to do it because it's beyond you. So the goal is out here, you're here. The goal is out here, you're here. And now to manifest the goal, you have to expand yourself and evolve to become the next version of yourself in order to manifest that goal. So the pursuit of that goal, the pursuit and the manifestation of that goal, that process will force you to come up against your inner beliefs, your internal blocks, your fears, your doubts, your questioning, your limiting beliefs, all of that stuff, so that you either move through it and work through it so that you can release and step into the version of yourself that is able to manifest that goal. That's the evolutionary journey of who you become. So a true goal will force you to evolve into becoming the person that's capable of fulfilling the dream and vision you're given. Often you won't be truly given a goal that is just more of what you are. And so many of us, we get attached to success or failure being, I achieved the goal, I didn't achieve the goal. I achieved the goal, I didn't achieve the goal. But the real success is not just whether you achieved it or not, it's in the pursuit. Who did I become? In the pursuit, did I learn the lesson? Did I evolve more? Did I expand more? Did I learn lessons? Because you can achieve a goal and lose your integrity. You can achieve a goal and sell yourself out in the process. You can achieve a goal and compromise your own internal ethics. But at what cost? Are you growing? Are you evolving? No.
For somebody that's listening right now and is inspired to transform their life, what's a way for them to begin this process of recreating and finding their full embodied, surrendered self? Like, what are some practical day-to-day things rituals? Are there things that people can be doing right now to support their journey?
I'll give you one thing, as there's many things. So I think ultimately it is a process. If we're honest, it's a process. It's not a hack, do this, do that. It's a process of evolution. It's a process of letting go of what's not aligned and transforming and healing so that you can come into deeper alignment within yourself and live that higher level. That's really what it's about. And that takes a bit of time. That's not like let me read a book and then the next day, boom, I'm enlightened. It is an embodiment of your own truth. So yeah, one place for people to start is I would invite everybody to look at all of the lies that you're telling yourself. Because as human beings, we've been conditioned to lie to ourselves about who we are and what we feel. We've been conditioned from a very young age to lie to ourselves. Oh, daddy loves that. Mommy loves this. Daddy doesn't love that. So let me hide this part of myself, pretend to be who I think they all want me to be growing up, and then I'll get love and validation. So we end up suppressing a part of ourselves, developing a role, mask, and persona to get love and validation and approval, and becoming that version. Throughout life, we end up perfecting to become the role and the mask and the persona, and that gets reinforced. Meanwhile, the true essence of what we are is hidden. We say yes when we mean no. We do things that we don't want to do to get love, validation, and approval. And so the real starting point may be, what lies am I telling myself? What is it that I'm pretending to not know? If you can tell the truth to yourself, honestly, ruthlessly, clearly, your life will change. You can stop praying. You can stop meditating. You can stop doing yoga. You can stop going to the temple. Because if you're lying to yourself, BSing yourself, not telling yourself the truth, and you go and pray to some God, say, God help, God will be like, leave me alone. Stop. Just go and just tell yourself the truth. So the first place that we must start is look at, what lies am I telling myself? What is it that I'm pretending to not know? We stay in relationships that we know are not aligned, don't we? For 2 years,
Yeah.
3 years, 5 years. We do things that we know are not in our integrity so that people don't dislike us. We have to have the courage to be disliked, because ultimately, if we betray ourselves and everybody like us, but we don't like ourselves, we have lost. We have lost our own self-respect and self-trust. So what lies am I telling myself? What is it that I'm pretending to not know? We often play this game of confusion. I don't know. I'm confused. I'm not sure. We know. Deep down, we know. And I would say, feel, what are the lies that you're telling yourself costing you? What is it costing you? Because it costs you a tremendous amount. Many of us, we've learned how to live with the lies, but deep down, we wonder, like, why do I feel pain in my heart? Why do I feel depressed? Why do I feel unhappy? Why do I not feel alive? Why do I feel a physical ailment? Why do I have a dis-ease inside of myself? Because all those lies, it's like our subconscious speaking to us, like, hey, there's a part of you that you're not paying attention to, and it manifests through your body. It manifests through the physical ailment. It manifests through a disease. And so I think if we could just start with the truth, we'll set you free. It might upset you. It might piss you off. It might be scary, but the truth will set you free. And so I would say, take all the pressure off of yourself and even having to take action, because that's something that scares people. Oh, if I tell the truth, then I'm going to have to take action. So the ego, which is designed to protect you from getting hurt and to reinforce its existence, kicks in, creates a smoke screen of confusion. Like, I don't really know what my purpose is. We do. I don't really know if this relationship is right for me. Deep down, we do. How many times have you been in a relationship and maybe you weren't so sure and you went back and forth? I've done this, right? You went back and forth with some friends, like, I don't know, should I stay? Should I leave? I'm not sure. They're a good person, but da, 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 da. And finally you had the courage to break up, and you told your friends, I broke up. I knew that was never going to work. Deep down we know, but we don't have the courage to own that knowing. And so I think if we are willing to just tell ourselves the truth without even the pressure of taking action, it frees us up. You don't have to leave the relationship. You don't have to do that thing. You don't have to leave your job, but just start telling yourself the truth. This is not working for me. This relationship, I'm not in love anymore. You don't have to break up, but just start telling yourself the truth. And that begins the inner process inside.
We're talking about the inner process right now in a very deep way. I know there's a lot out there. People are searching for the next retreat, the next meditation journey, the next spiritual plant medicine ceremony. People are out there today just chasing and looking for enlightenment, however they can find it. And I'm curious, from your perspective, how does somebody know when to pursue some practice, some retreat, some journeying, and when to just know that this is just a part of the illusion and the deception? Like, we're chasing sensations, we're chasing an experience, chasing wanting to be enlightened. How do we distinguish that in a world today where Instagram and social media is all over?
Trust me that if we knew what enlightenment was, we wouldn't chase it, we would run. Because enlightenment does not happen to you as a person. Enlightenment is the death of who you are or who you think you are. So we don't really want enlightenment. We think we do, but we don't. And so the ego resists surrender because surrender to the ego feels like a death. So the ego resists enlightenment because for the ego, the illusory sense of who and what we perceive ourselves to be, it is a death. It's a death of the old, death of the self, death of your current belief system. So we hold on to our belief, life is this way, I'm not this way. And we hold on to that. And that gives us a sense of safety and comfort. But to truly be enlightened, let's start with surrender. And enlightenment is to release that. And the ego doesn't want to change. The ego wants to seek and seek and seek and seek and seek and seek and seek. And another book, and let me just keep seeking, because that seeking reinforces the ego's sense of I exist. And the ego never wants to truly find. And so, you're going to get me started. But one of the sneakiest ways, some people won't want to hear this, but I've had to face this myself. And the truth needs to be said. One of the sneakiest places that the ego hides is in spirituality and spiritual practice. It is one of the sneakiest places that the ego hides, because it's almost as though, well, I'm doing something good, so you can't find me here. And so the process of constantly seeking, let me seek another this, seek another that, seek another guru, seek another, it's like the process of seeking is taking you further away from a deeper reality. And so the ego hides in spirituality. The purpose of spirituality is not spirituality. The purpose of spirituality is to help you become more awake to live your life, to be kind, to be loving, to be honest, to live honestly. That's the purpose of spirituality, is can you be a nice human? Can you be a good person? Can you speak the truth and live with integrity? The purpose of doing the practice is not to do more practice. So we hide behind the practice rather than the living. Real spirituality is not a meditation retreat. Although I have retreats around the world, right? Real spirituality is not another book. Real spirituality is not like, oh, I can raise my Kundalini and Kundalini activation. And real spirituality is not like, oh, I can move energy with my hands. Real spirituality is not like I can do 17 different yoga positions at one time. Real spirituality is, how do you live your life? How do you treat your wife? How do you treat your son? How do you treat your neighbor? How do you treat the person that betrayed you and stabbed you in the back? How do you treat that person that doesn't deserve your kindness because they're being a, you know what? That's real spirituality. The rest is just theorizing. The rest is just sort of like entertainment for your ego. Real spirituality is every moment of your life. And for me, it's like changing my diapers of my son and serving his soul. Like, that's spirituality in action. And so I think that the ego likes to hide through spirituality, but spirituality is how you live your life every moment. So there are people that will never go to a retreat, never read a spiritual book, don't know about yoga, but they are kind and they will treat you with respect. And there are people that they've done 200 ayahuasca ceremonies and they're still an asshole. Okay. So how is that spiritual? Right? And they're cheating on their wife, but they just came back from the jungle and they're a shaman. I don't care what lights you've seen and what dimensions you've gone to. What I really care more and more is, can you live in this world with integrity, Can you be your word? Can you be kind? Can you be loving? That's spiritual. Whether you ever can read the Upanishads or the Bhagavad Gita or anything, it's just how do you live your life? That's why Gandhi said, at my death, burn all my books in my cremation. I grew up in the church, man. I went to church every Sunday till I was 18. Every Friday, every Sunday till I was 18. Every Friday and Sunday till I was 18. Maybe missed a couple because I was sick. Or, as a teenager, I tried to sneak out because I wanted to watch some soccer on a Sunday in London, right? And so, don't tell anyone.
Oh, everybody will know.
Yeah, but, I went to church and people would be like, Jesus, Jesus, singing, Jesus, and come out the church and gossiping and backbiting and betraying and sleeping with this person. It's like, there's nothing spiritual about that. How you live your life, to me, that's everything. That's the real deal right there. So to add another dimension, like God is not in the church. God is as in the toilet as in the church. Because if you're in the church going, I can't wait to leave this damn place. Oh my God! Wow! Look at this person. Look at that. Look what she's wearing. Look at this. In your judgment, right? And you're only going because of obligation. There's no God there. But if you go to the urinal and you take a pee, when you need to take a pee, you've been holding it for like hours. Like finally, you get to the urinal. You're like, thank God. That genuine heart opening of like gratitude is more holy than you singing 50,000 hymns in the church, man. That moment is a sacred moment. We're like, and the pee comes out and you're like, oh my God, thank you. Like that moment is sacred and holy. And so everything is spiritual. God is everywhere. God is everything. And I think when we can start living our lives like that, then every moment becomes sacred. Spending time with my son is sacred. Spending time with my wife is holy. Spending time taking care of the grass is like a sacred thing. Appreciating existence is sacred. It's holy. All of this life creation is the imagination of the divine. It's divine art. The sun, the clouds, the moon, the this. And so when we can like appreciate it all, that's to worship the divine. That is true spirituality, to see the spirit in everything. Can you see the spirit in Donald Trump? If not, then he's your guru. Can you see the spirit in Biden? If not, he's your guru. Whoever you can't see the divine in, that's your spiritual practice right there. And until we can, then we have some growing to do.
Yeah. What about this situation? You said earlier about being kind to the person that stabbed you in the back and how you show up. Can I ask you about boundaries really quick? Because I need your perspective on this. How do we know what the difference is between creating a healthy boundary with somebody that's hurt us and being kind, right?
We should all be unconditional loving. Jesus was unconditional. To me, Jesus was a high-level mystic. On the cross, getting hurt, yes?
Yeah.
Stabbed. Have you been stabbed yet? I certainly haven't. So we have a long ways to go. And so here he is on the cross. He doesn't say, they're stabbing me, F all of you, screw all of you. He says, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they do. They don't know what they're doing. Chances are they're hurt. Chances are it's not even personal against you. Chances are they've been beaten and cheated on and stolen against and betrayed and abused in their childhood, and based on their hurt and the beliefs that they have, which doesn't condone what they're doing, the beliefs that they have, hurt people are hurting people. Based on those beliefs, they can't help it. Doesn't make it okay, doesn't make it right, and doesn't mean you should hang out with them. I have a perfect relationship with everybody, man. Everybody. Some people I choose not to hang out with, but I accept them unconditionally. It's like, this person is a liar. This person is a monkey. This person is a killer snake. This person is a rat. This person is a cockroach. This person is a mosquito. No problem. To truly love is to accept all as they are. And based on that, you know, oh, I can't let this person in my house. I can't let this monkey run through my house because it's going to eat all the bananas. Or if I'm going to let this monkey in my house, then I probably should hide the bananas. So you have to know what is and what isn't, and accept what is and accept what isn't. But that doesn't mean you have to stop loving. There's people that I choose not to be around because they can't help themselves. They really can't help themselves. You know, they're in pain. They can't help themselves. But I'll choose not to be around them, but I don't have to stop loving them.
Got you. That's beautiful.
So you can set those boundaries, but you don't have to stop loving. And that's what I would wrap up with.
I love it. Kute, you are an inspiration. You're making me want to go and text some people here and make sure I've got myself aligned. Let me ask you really quick, for the listeners that are tuning in from around the world, how's the best way for people to find you? How do you want people to connect with you in the future? I want to point everybody to your teachings. How do people get you?
Thank you. Thank you so much. I wish we had more time, but I would say let's run it back sometime too.
Yeah, I'd love to run it back.
My book, The Magic of Surrender, check out the book. So much is in there. I wrote it very simply. I have a podcast called Soul Talk. Check it out and subscribe. My main website, Kute, K-U-T-E, Blackson.com. I do many events around the world, in Bali, in India, all around the world, seminars in LA. Come, attend. We'll be putting up, obviously, the schedule on there. Come live, come experience one of my retreats, a deep dive. We'll put some of the links in the show notes. And once you go to my website, kuteblackson.com, you can subscribe for the free online course and get access, and you'll be sent regular updates in terms of everything we have going on. We have also a very special free masterclass called Manifestation Masterclassonline.com. But we'll put all of the links in show notes. Instagram, come say hi, Kute Blackson.
Absolutely. All the links will be in the show notes. We're going to run it back with Kute one day soon. This is my first time meeting Kute. This is my first time talking to Kute. And you're now stuck with me, brother. I'm deeply inspired. And I got follow-up questions for you. So we'll follow up. Thank you for making the time. I know you're a busy man. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Everlutionary, transforming and healing the world, is brought to you by me, Hawah Kasat. If you would like to find out more about my story, head to hawahkasat.com and visit social media, where I'm active on Instagram, Substack, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Facebook. Be sure to share this podcast with a friend, and to make sure you don't miss any future episodes, hit that subscribe button on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thank you for listening. Stay in touch. Peace.